A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. It is Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Back at Polderbaan, where normalcy seems to have returned. We have unobstructed view, both left and right, to the Polderbaan runway 18 right. Currently the only runway being used for arrivals. The wind is blowing from the south. And I'm happy to report that there are birds back in the water. There you go, there are 3 ducks, I think, over there. And there were also a couple of birds close by on this side, although they seem to have gone ninja mode in the meantime. Right. Big picture, looking to the south. Looking to the west, looking to the east, and looking to the north. This is what it looks like. Overcast, although if you look closely, there are some openings here and there. I have seen a couple of patches of blue. It's mostly overcast, and we are in expectance of rain at some point. The exact timing differs depending on which source you check. I will show you guys in a couple of minutes. The first airplane arriving is Delta Airlines Flight 136. It's an A330-300 arriving from Detroit, Michigan. Flight time 6 hours and 50 minutes. The airplane 16 years old. The first flight of this airplane was in July 2007. There's another airplane behind it already. KLM Flight 982, an Embraer 190 arriving from London City. Let's see if the pilot knows how to use the handle of the reverse thrust. Make a loud landing. The answer is no. Captain let down on the wheel, behind the wheel. However, the first airplane of the show also provides us with the first butt shot of the day. Nice little bonus. A very good morning to everybody who has joined in the meantime. Maria, Eva, Jackie, Sander, Andre, Tony, Flores, Orest, Catherine, Steven, Dario. Good morning and welcome to the show, everyone. There is one other person further up the road, also over here. There's 2 of us at the moment, no other people. The parking lot was completely empty when I arrived. My car was the first, actually. Jinshin, goedemorgen, good morning. Ronald, goedemorgen. This is KLM Flight 982, Embraer 190 arriving from London City. Flight time 37 minutes. This airplane has been flying for 15 years, since October 2008. Marianne, thank you so much for 2 months of membership. Thank you for your continued support. Marianne writes, time flies, keep going with your job. Most definitely am planning to do so. Thank you so much for your kind words and your continued support there, Marianne. Now, runway configuration, if you guys checked the ticker is interesting. 2 runways being used for departures, one being runway 18 center, the other one, the Buitenvelderbaan, the runway next to the McDonald's, to the east, runway 09. The wind is blowing from the south, not very hard actually. So I actually was expecting all the north-south runways being used, as was the case, when was it, Monday? When wind conditions were similar to today. More butt shots, unobstructed butt shots no less. And also a big thank you to Catherine for your continued support. 7 months of membership already, time flies. Thank you so much. Hope you still like it in the lounge. I hope that goes for all the members. If you don't like the seating, let me know and I will see what I can do to change it. Now, if you look closely, you will see there are patches of blue sky here and there. That's not to say that the sun is going to shine. To the contrary, I think this is the best weather we're going to have the rest of the day. It was said that some storm was also coming up later overnight, tonight. Huey, Dewey or Louie or something. At the moment when the wind is calm, but it is expected to increase as the day progresses. But before the wind will become stormy, precipitation will also arrive in the country, unfortunately. I see that Halil and Row Aviation are also in the chat. Aphrodite, Gosse, Meilov, Jongeheer Smal, Valentijn, Monique, good morning to you all. Ed, good morning. Teun, also good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope everybody is doing well. Got a couple of queens coming in today, hence the title and the thumbnail. I will hopefully be able to show you maybe after the next 2 airplanes. Does look like there's a bit of a bigger gap after the 777, that is now number 2. The now number 1 is an A321 Neo from EasyJet arriving from Bristol. Flight time 53 minutes, that is par for the course. 3-year-old airplane, first flight July 2020. Jimmy Pirate, Andrew Golda, good day to you all. Patrick, tuning in from Antwerp. Goedemorgen Zuiderbuur. Relative high humidity. You saw the cables emanating from the flap tips, those vortices. The A321 Neo seems to be particularly good at producing them. Hey there T-Mac, good morning mate, hope all is well. Alex Guillemette, is that how you say your last name? Guillemette? Guillemette? Good morning. Royd, our first triple is coming up next. China Southern Cargo. Flight 495, arriving from Shanghai, China. Wing fluff over the top foil, indicative of relative high humidity. We also saw the cables on the A321 before it. Flight time for this airplane from Shanghai to where it is right now, 11 hours and 7 minutes, nearly half a day. The airplane is 10 years old. The first flight was in June 2013. And Guillemette, or Guillemette, is indeed how I should pronounce Alex's last name. Flywire says, morning all, we are sending you rain from UK today. Well, you most certainly are. Let me see if I can show you guys all the relevant things and brief you of what's coming. But not before getting our eardrums blown out from the loud reverser. Jin asks about coots. I thought there was one over here. I did see it not too long ago. Not sure if it is maybe on the side in the grass. Don't see it immediately. Now there were a couple of birds in the... Oh, they're moving away from me. Probably talking too loud. Grebe-like behavior, diving under as soon as a camera is pointed towards them. They will re-emerge at some point. Now I'm not sure if these are coots or ducks. I thought they were ducks. Let's give them a bit of additional digital zoom. Well, you guys tell me. I think these are ducks, but... Well, in the meantime, more airplanes coming. Let's see. There's a bit more spacing between the bigger birds that are coming after this SAS airplane. Let me see if I can squeeze in that briefing that I have been talking about a couple of times already. Patrick says they are ducks. Okay, well in that case I don't think I've seen grebes, coots yet. Grebes either, by the way. This is SAS flight 821. Arriving from Oslo. Now the firefighters already did their round. Unfortunately, we're not going to see them anymore, I think, today, because they already passed by me when I was walking up here. They were early today. Also a big thank you to Steven, who just became the latest member of the Aurora Sky Lounge. I hope you like it in the lounge. Thank you so much for your support there. I see that Evelyn and Father Norman have also arrived in the chat. Good to see you both. Hope you're both doing well. And Theo says, eiereenden, egg ducks. Probably not the literal translation in English. Golden-eyed ducks, Flywire says. Mrs. Professor, good morning to you too. RDW, goedemorgen, good morning. Han, goedemorgen kerel, good to see you. Hope all is well. There's a couple of big birds coming in now. The first of those is this one, 787-10, arriving from Cartagena, KLM flight 741, flight time 8 hours, 34 minutes, 4-year-old airplane, first flight January 2020. Gotcha. I think that is a coot. That is the coot that I did see a couple of times before. Now, you might have also picked up on a siren. More emergency vehicles. See that Russell also has arrived, sitting on his throne over there. Let me wind back the way I wound up. Alrighty, next airplane coming in, A330-200, arrival from Vancouver, Canada, KLM flight 682. Quick rundown of the situation. So we have wind blowing from the south, just over 10 knots, a low ceiling, low visibility, few clouds at 800 feet, scattered clouds at 1,000 feet, broken clouds at 1,600 feet. Below the ceiling, 10 plus kilometers of visibility. We're standing over here, the only runway being used for arrivals. runways center and 09 being used for departures. In terms of precipitation, this is the 3-hour extrapolation from the Dutch Met Office, which says it is still going to stay dry. The UK Met Office, on the other hand, indicated that rain might start around noon, or well, between noon and 1 o'clock. Let me show you the Queens and other airplanes of interest inbound after the A330 has landed. Again, KLM flight 682, returning from Vancouver, Canada. 9 hours exactly, according to Flight Radar, the flight time. A very good morning. Andre, Eversteria, Luther, good morning. Guten Morgen. Sharp Fitness Look, good morning. Rich says, already raining where I am in the UK. Well, we saw that on the weather, the precipitation map of the Met Office just now. Shit is coming, and it's coming from the UK, as is often the case when it comes down to the weather. El Ray says hello from Ireland. Good morning, mate. Hope all is well over there. Now, we were going to do some queen catching, and the first of those queens is already in Dutch airspace, arriving from Nairobi, Cargolux B748. Just west of Ireland is Calita Air, arriving from Miami, expected around 11:15 local time. We have a bonus 747 that was not on Flight Radar before I went out, arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle, is also underway, expected in 20 minutes from now. We have Cargolux arriving from Miami, also around the same time as Calita. More from Miami, expected around noon. The Emirates A380, special delivery destination Dubai today, expected around 12:30. Question is if the weather is going to be dry by then still, or if the rain comes early. Various sources are differing in when the rain is going to commence over here. I hope, of course, being able to stick around until the A380 has landed as well. But if I'm going to be able to, I don't know yet. Time will tell. But there are, if I counted correctly, 5 747s on the way, all before noon. This, by the way, Delta Airlines Flight 74, A330-300, having arrived from Atlanta, Georgia. 7 hours and 40 minutes of flight time. 17-year-old airplane, first flight November 2006. Right, and I believe my receiver from the DJI mic sprung loose. Let me see if I can fix that again. Right, well, the difficulty with the DJI mic is that it becomes I noticed that the audio became very iffy if the transmitter was in my front inner pocket of my jacket, and when I was standing away from the computer, that meant my body was also physically in the way, and with 2.4 gigahertz, which this is using, then the signal apparently got blocked by my body and started sounding bad. So what I now have done is clipped the mic transmitter to the back end of my belt so that I am not physically standing in between the transmitter and receiver. But the clip came loose from my belt, so I had to reattach it just now. Unfortunately, my lavalier mic wire is not that long, so I don't have a lot of excess wire left. So if I crouch down behind the laptop, everything gets under tension, and that resulted in the mic coming loose, and then it just dangles, being held together by the 3.5mm connector being inserted in the transmitter. Should be okay again. Meanwhile, good morning Joke, Avner, good morning, JWB, Lufthansa, Fritz, good morning to you all. Hope everybody is doing alright. Cormorant on the loose. Was doing a flyby. Next up is Welling, flight 6814. Arriving from Florence, Firenze, A319. Flight time 1 hour and 50 minutes. 16-year-old airplane, first flight January 2008. JWB asks, singer in the background. Well, you're hearing, past the test, we had a cyclist passing by who was singing, so you're absolutely right in hearing that correctly. Servus Bastiaan, tuning in from Vienna. Erwin, goedemorgen. Lois, good morning. Anne, goedemorgen. Paul, goedemorgen. Jannes, good morning. Next up, British Airways BA flight 2540 A320 arriving from London Gatwick. Flight time 45 minutes. And this airplane, 21 years old, first flight July 2002. Hey, good morning stranger. Lane, goedemorgen. JRN Son, goedemorgen, good morning. Tuning in from Tel Aviv. Now, I believe that the Arkia airplane that we saw land from Tel Aviv on Monday, I believe that was the first in a while. I was looking on Flight Radar to see if there was a flight history of this particular flight, and it looked like that was the first flight, and that more were commencing as of that Monday last week. So it was not only a channel premiere, but also a premiere on Schiphol Airport by the looks of it. Used for the first time since a while. Alrighty, next up is a cargo airplane from MNG. It's an A321 though. Not an airplane that you immediately think about when hearing the word cargo airplane. MNG Airlines, arriving from Istanbul, flight time 3 hours and 15 minutes. Flight 9406, 15-year-old airplane, first flight October 2008. And the first CRJ of the day will be number 2 after that. Unfortunately, with the low cloud conditions today, there are no glide slope shots visible yet. And speaking of the master of glide slope shots, it is Captain Jerry Donnelly, alive and kicking. I'm happy to see that you are still alive, mate. Since coming back, I've done a couple of streams already. I was missing you and I was wondering if you were still okay and in the land of the living. But Captain, I'm happy to see that you're back. And Captain's glide slope says I'm too sexy for my Jägermeister slope. Mate, your timing is very unfortunate. We missed you on days that there were glide slope shots, and today there are no glide slope shots. And although that does not mean I'm not happy to see you again. Hope all is well, Jerry. Now, is this A321 converted? Was this a passenger airplane before? Why do you ask, you might wonder? Well, what do you see? Hey, Jean-Yves, salut mon ami. Long time no see, good to see you again, mate. Hope all is well. Probably you've been busy. Goedemorgen Gerrit. Patrick, goedemorgen. Jin Shin says, it's my bedtime. Aloha everyone. Well, Jin, thank you so much for joining again. Sleep tight and hope to see you on the next one. Goedemorgen Adrie. Joke, goedemorgen. Joke is asking, when are the big birds coming? Well, there is one coming immediately after this one. And this little appetizer is Lufthansa Flight 2302. It's a CRJ 900 arriving from Munich. Flight time 1 hour and 6 minutes. 12-year-old airplane. First flight May 2011. And the first of the 747s that we are expecting is flying base. If I counted correctly, we're expecting 5 before the arrival of the A380, and the A380 is expected around 12:30 regular time of day. Hey Jean-Yves, sometimes lounging in Lurker's Lounge, that's great to hear. Hope you're doing well, mate. Meanwhile, 2 birds, 1 throne. Hope that goes well. Won't lead to an argument. Alrighty, next up, KLM Flight 758 arriving from Panama City. Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner, 9 hours and 2 minutes underway now. Brand new airplane, began flying for the first time in May last year. Less than a year old, the airplane. The BKM. LL 737 immediately after that, and after that, the first of the Queens. Good morning, Stefan. And all other viewers who might have joined in the meantime. Also, Anna, thank you so much for a donation through PayPal. Thanks for the stream, he writes. Thank you so much for your donation via PayPal, Anna. Thank you so much, my friend. Now, this is El Al flight 337. Behind it is the first of 4 747s. 5 747s. Let me clue you in once more. There is one on the glide slope, one over Belgium, one over Ireland, one west of France, and one still a bit further to the west. These are all coming, and this one, hey, is taking a pit stop at Limerick. Doesn't say that it is diverting. That's interesting. If anybody knows more, do let us know. And over Bucharest is the destination Dubai special livery A380, expected around 1:30 today, 12:30. However, if it is going to stay dry until then, that remains to be seen. El Al flight 337 is up next. Boeing 737-800 arrival from Tel Aviv, where this airplane left from nearly 5 hours ago. 4 hours 48 minutes of flight time. The airplane is 22 years old. The first flight was in August 2001. So is Kalita Air diverting or making an additional pit stop to pick up some parcels in Limerick? Will you look at that? The heavens are opening up for El Al. Beautiful to see. Meanwhile, let us focus on the first queen of the day. Operated by Cargolux Italia, this is Cargolux flight 2613, returning from Nairobi, Kenya. Flight time 8 hours 31 minutes. The airplane is 19 years old. The first flight was in April 2004. It is getting a bit more busy behind this airplane already on the glide slope. I see 3 more airplanes on the glide slope already. And indeed, Han, the Smarties livery plane is coming in today. If it's going to stay dry long enough for us to be able to see it land, that remains to be seen. Lovely lighting, by the way. It's too bad that there's a queen landing. Can only focus my camera in one direction at a time. Lovely, moody lighting. Now, big thank you to John for 4 months of membership already. He says, hello everyone, hi boy, great stream, thank you. Well, thank you so much for your continued support there, John. Hope you still like it in the lounge. Do let me know if something is not to your liking. And if you do like what you're seeing so far and you haven't done so already, consider dropping a like. spreads this content to other aviation enthusiasts more easily. And indeed, Marianne, the neighbors are awake now. And Jean-Yves says, cool, he didn't lose an engine or a wheel. Proud of the pilot, indeed. Another landing where everything remained intact. Next up, KLM flight 1224, arriving from Paris, Charles de Gaulle. This is a 737-900, flight time 46 minutes. 22 years old, this airplane began flying in the month of 9/11, September 2001. Getting the feeling that the wind is picking up a little bit. Whoa. The Cargolux Queen is still making her way over to the taxi lane back to the main platform area. Hey Jolanda, goedemorgen. Paul, good morning, good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. Next up is an A320 from Air Arabia Maroc, arriving from Nador in Morocco. Flight time 2 hours and 48 minutes, 10-year-old airplane, first flight December 2013. A320 Neo arriving from Copenhagen behind it, and after that Bulgaria Air arriving in an A220-300. Also an airplane that we haven't seen very often here so far yet. Hey Berend, goedemorgen kerel, good to see you. Hope everybody is doing alright. With wind blowing from the south, it does seem that it is picking up a little bit, ever so slightly. Chimney smoke leaving the chimney rather horizontally. Johan asks if I can say hoi, Julia and Johan. Absolutely, goedemorgen. And indeed, Marcia also noticing that Kalita has made a pit stop in Ireland, which was not planned, even though flight radar didn't say that it was diverting, or at least not just now. Next up, A320 EasyJet flight 27936, arriving from Copenhagen, flight time 1 hour and 7 minutes. 4-year-old airplane, first flight October 2019. Right, Bulgaria Air A220-300 arriving from Sofia, flight 461, 2 hours and 46 minutes of flight time. Brand new airplane, first flight June 2023, so this one still very much under warranty. And if you just tuned in, welcome to the show. We're catching queens today. We caught the first one already. The second one is flying over the southwest of the Netherlands. Cathay Pacific Cargo arriving from Paris. Now, for some reason, this queen arriving from Miami is flying very southerly. Not sure if that is actually going to come to Amsterdam by the look of its track. This one is coming from Miami, and there was a Kalita coming, but that seems to have landed in Shannon or Limerick. We've got the Smarties destination Dubai special livery coming to Amsterdam today. However, the big question is, will we stay dry until then? This is the Dutch Met Office 3-hour extrapolation, and it seems to indicate dry weather until 1 o'clock. Looking at the UK Met Office and refreshing the forecast, it says, well, also around 1 o'clock rain, so if we're lucky we might stay dry until all the big quads have arrived. In the meantime, looking at the weather, winds blowing from the south now has turned a little bit more to the east, still just over 10 knots. We still have a ceiling of 1500 feet. We have scattered clouds and few clouds below it. And the air temperature is 10 degrees Celsius or roughly 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Runway usage has remained the same as it was before. Right, well, we missed the landing of Bulgaria Air, unfortunately. However, we are still in time for the next airplane, and that is Air Canada Flight 808 arriving from Toronto, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, 6 hours and 18 minutes underway. Tractor coming behind me from over the cycling path, which you might also pick up on. Good morning, Norbert. Hope all is well. It's a new airplane, but it sounds a bit like an old diesel. Good morning, Kana Chef Chris, who says, can't believe it's raining there. Well, at the moment not yet, but it won't be long. It is only going to be a matter of time, unfortunately. Now at the moment, believe it or not, well, maybe more easy to believe because the sun is almost coming out. You can see patches of blue here and there, also over there and over there. So while there is rain coming later in the day, at the moment it does look like it's still a bit out, which is good because we still have quite a couple of interesting planes that we want to see. Hey, interesting, is there a Pilatus also going to land on Polderbaan? It does look like it. Origin Buox BXO. No idea where Buox is, but it does look like there's a Pilatus PC-12 on the glide slope behind the airplane that you guys are now seeing, which is a Corendon A350, the one dedicated flying between Willemstad, Curaçao and Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. And indeed, it's me, Mike, code yellow around evening in the Netherlands. Storm Huey or Dewey or Louis or something like that is expected, passing over the country overnight. I am personally totally fed up with all the storms and all the grey, dreary weather that we've been having the last 6 months or so. I'm ready for summer. I want to stand out here in my t-shirt and my shorts with only applying enough sunscreen being my only concern. Having to think about that. I'm ready for it. Well, departures from center still take place, as you guys can see in the background. Cloud base also relatively low. You can see that the airplane is already vanishing into the clouds quite rapidly. This is the World to Fly Corendon A350, having flown 8 hours and 12 minutes. The airplane first began flying in April 2022. And Jackie says you're not the only one, boy. I think most of Great Britain and the Netherlands, the Benelux perhaps even, well, probably also, are all fed up with the grey, dreary, windy weather that we've been having. But then again, yeah, if it is windy but not rainy, it does allow for nice conditions to do some plane spotting. That has to be said. And thank you, Maria, for letting us know that Buox is in Switzerland. Now, the next airplane is a Pilatus PC-12. It is a very tiny airplane. I'm not seeing it. Oh wait, I do now. Enabling digital zoom. Now, well in the digital zoom range. Going back to optical. There it is. Pilatus PC-12, the HBFOW, arriving from Buox, Switzerland, where this airplane departed from 2 hours and 8 minutes ago. Pilatus PC-12, age not available according to flight radar. Well, it looks like the sun is shining on the highway a little bit further up ahead. Are we going to be so lucky over here as well? No, seem to have lost it. Oh wait, there it is. Well, if you've got miles of runway ahead of you, no need to touch down immediately at the touchdown zone, back to the north. That was a very horizontal landing. The next airplane is also vaguely visible. Doesn't look like visibility to the north has improved. KLM Flight 1352 arriving from Prague. Embraer 175, flight time 1 hour and 20 minutes. 6-year-old airplane, first flight January 2018. Hey there Blackburst, good morning, good to see you again. Vol Nation says greetings from Memphis, good morning to you too, mate. Welcome to the show. After this Embraer 175 we're going to see a Boeing 777-200 arriving from Johannesburg. Patrick says vertical landings are usually usually not that good. Well, it depends on the angle, of course. There's vertical and vertical. A low degree of verticality and a high degree of horizontality. Is that a word? If not, it does sound like a lovely new word. Horizontality and verticality. Vacating via exit number 1, butt shot in the making. Mrs. Professor says, I don't recall seeing a small prop plane like that land before. We have seen several Pilatus PC-24s every now and then. We also saw base jets. If this is the smallest, I don't know. Definitely one of the smallest that we have seen so far. And Phenom 300 is also relatively tiny, although powered by turbofans. KLM 592 up next, arriving from Johannesburg, South Africa, 777-200 ER, flight time 11 hours and 7 minutes. Relatively older airplane, 19 years. The 300s are a lot younger on average. First flight of this airplane was in March 2004. And Dion says, I'm on a bench at the Polderbaan. In that case, I'm wondering, is this you, Dion? There's always a delay in the stream, so I'm also not going to focus on someone who might not want to be filmed too long. Good morning Dave, good morning Matteo, Tom, goedemorgen. All other viewers who've joined in the meantime, good morning. And that was Dion, okay, cool. Nice man. Next up is going to be Croatia Airlines Flight 450, A319, arriving from Zagreb, flight time 1 hour and 50 minutes. This airplane began flying in January 1998, so it's a true millennial, 26 years old already. Too old for Captain Jerry, who says he likes 19-year-olds. Don't we all? A320neo following this Croatia Airlines SAS. Has anybody heard anything about the Kalita 747 that landed at the Limerick instead of Amsterdam without flight radar indicating it was diverting? Normally if it does divert, it shows on flight radar. So I'm wondering, planned pit stop or not? Additional parcels to be unloaded or loaded. Hadi Maiko, who says, who is it? I'm doing well, mate. Well, still a bit hoarse and dry cough remnant from the cold I had last week. Otherwise, I'm doing perfectly fine, but you might hear it in my voice every now and then. SAS flight 1553 up next, A320neo arriving from Stockholm, where this airplane departed from 1 hour and 54 minutes ago. This particular airplane is a year old. First flight was in July 2022. Rich says it was an emergency landing. I read the landing gear caught fire. Wow, okay. Han also says someone earlier in the stream mentioned some issues. I must have missed that then. Good to know. So Colita probably delayed until further notice. Now folks, I have good news. Aeromexico Flight 25 is up next. The Aeromexico pilots do sometimes use their reverse thrust even on Polderbaan with headwind, so that might get loud. And after that we are going to see the 747-8 from Cathay Pacific Cargo arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle. And goedemorgen Bas, who is tuning in from Rotterdam, The Hague Airport. I think I have another... I think my mic got loose once again. Stupid. Right, that should be good again. Aeromexico Flight 25 arriving from Mexico City. Good morning, Gucci. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Paul says, just heard on live ATC that Colita had some warning indication extinguished on landing roll at Shannon. Emergency services were out as far as I can tell, but are returning to the ramp. Okay, so maybe it was a false alarm then, hopefully. And Donna says, what did one raindrop say to the other? Two's company, three's a cloud. Nice one. Good morning, Donna. Alrighty, Cathay Pacific Cargo 7478 flight 2038 up next, arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle, where this airplane left from 45 minutes ago. 10-year-old airplane, first flight November 2013. And Bus says that Jordi is also watching and has a blast. Good to hear. Hey there Jordi, goedemorgen. And Filippo Machiavelli says good morning from BLQ. Good morning mate, hope all is well. Let's look and listen. But indeed, Captain Jerry, although not as loud as the 747-400 was in terms of runway reverser usage, in the audio department I found it a bit disappointing, but it was a very smooth landing. Goedemorgen Nico, goedemorgen JW Slijm, good morning. All other viewers who have joined in the meantime as well, good morning to you all. Hope you're having a good time over here at AMS Live, where we are standing next to the Polderbaan, runway 18 right, the only runway being used for arrivals at the moment. There are birds in the water here and there. The dredging is continuing but has progressed further to the north, so is no longer obstructing our view. Luckily, unlike last Monday. This is KLM flight 767 and A330-300 arriving from Bonaire. Always very exciting. Now, the airplane has been flying 8 hours and 20 minutes to get here. Now touching down. This airplane has been flying since March 2012. Would you believe it? The sun is actually shining over here. Righty. Still got the feeling that my mic transmitter is not properly attached yet. It also has a magnet, so I'm going to use the magnet instead. Our next airplane to arrive is going to be Turkish flight 1951, an A330-200. Alright, this should work better. Attached the voiceover mic transmitter a bit higher up on the back side of my sweater using the magnet, so won't get under stress when crouching down behind the laptop for a briefing or something similar. This is Turkish Airlines flight 1951 arriving from Istanbul. Flight time 3 hours and 12 minutes. Airbus A330-200. 16 years old. The first flight was in October 2007. And Marianne is saying that the sun is also shining in Hilversum, which is a bit further to the south and a bit more to the east compared to where I am standing right now. And hoi Simon. And Adri says in Julianadorp there's also a little bit of sunshine at the moment. Right, back to the smaller jets. It is now looking to the west. It does look a bit more dark. Then again, immediately in my vicinity there are definitely patches of blue here and there. Weather is a bit schizophrenic. Jekyll and Hyde like. EasyJet A320 up next, arriving from Milan, flight 2385-7. Flight time 1 hour 36 minutes. 6-year-old airplane, first flight May 2017. Air Malta A320 behind it, and behind it the Play A320 Neo. Sander says it's also opening up in Katwijk, but indeed, for how long is the question. So we have, I believe, 2 or 3 more 747s expected before the A380. The destination Dubai, special livery. very colorful edition today. Expected around 12:30 local time. You can see the local time in the bottom left corner of your screen. EasyJet butt shot. Move into the light, my child. Next up is an all-white airplane flying for Air Malta, operated by Aviation Express Malta. Flight 394 A320, arriving from Malta, where this airplane departed from 3 hours and 4 minutes ago. A 10-year-old airplane that first began flying in June 2013. I see Jin Cathay spotter also back in the chat. Good morning, mate. Hope all is well. Right, Air Malta. Such a pretty airplane. So much thought that has gone into designing this livery. Now, Mrs. Professor was also saying 27 minutes later and the Cargolux Queen we saw has finally made it to the cargo terminal. That's a long taxi. Well, it is a long taxi on its own already, and because of the usage of the center runway for departures, all the airplanes also have to make a little detour. Although the 747 probably did not have to go very much further than it normally would have gone if it stayed on the the west side of the runway, going via the southern threshold, which it probably did. Hey Martin, goedemorgen kerel, good morning. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it is once again playtime. Arriving from Reykjavik today in an A320neo, flight 460, 2 hours and 43 minutes underway. Are we going to see a playtime butt shot combo? That's the question. It is slowing down already. Might well become a butt shot. I think it will. Playtime butt shot, here it comes. And that's an interesting fun fact, Jeroen. The call sign of play is player. Red alert indeed, Han. Red alert, it's a catastrophe. Alrighty, back to the north, we are seeing a Speedbird A319 approach, arriving from London Heathrow, flight 430, 43 minutes underway, 18-year-old airplane. This one began flying in March of the year 2005. March 2005. Almost as old as my car. which I believe is from October that year. Let's have a look at the British Airman. Hello, chaps. And a very good evening to Malcolm, tuning in from New Zealand. And Malcolm says, my AMS Live hoodie arrived today. Very nice. Wow. That's great to hear, mate. I hope the size is proper and that you will enjoy it for a long time to come. And thank you so much for your support, Malcolm. AMS Live hoodie in the merch store. Have a look if you might be interested in a new hoodie or other pieces of clothing. Good morning, Georgios, tuning in from Kalamata. Oh, there we go. A330 with wing fluff taking off from the center runway. Before it hits the clouds and is out of sight. Meanwhile, we're missing on the out on the landing of a KLM 737. An airplane you don't see every day here. Still a few openings in the sky. Not only here, also here. Question is, can we see a contrail in that short, small window of opportunity? Maybe, but not now. So big picture wise, looking to the south, this is what it currently looks like. Looking to the west is what it looks like right now. Back to the east. And back to the north, this is what it looks like. Flying AMS Live logo is up next. TUI flight 703 arriving from Willemstad, Curaçao. Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. Has been flying for 7 hours and 15 minutes to get from Curaçao to where it is right now. The airplane began flying in January 2015, 9 years old. And another Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner up next, behind this one. From Qatar, arriving from Doha. What's nice is that so far this morning, Boulderbound has been the only runway being used for arrivals, and so far it does not seem to have changed. Curious if it is going to change in the upcoming hours or not. Servus Peppy, good to see you again, tuning in from Innsbruck. Hope all is well. Also vaguely hearing a siren. Looking around me, cannot pinpoint the source, unfortunately. Mrs. Professor asks if there is international shipping on AMS merch. I believe there is. I believe you can get it worldwide, actually. Now, Jerry needs a glide slope. We all do, mate. And sunshine. No more vitamin D tablets. Get our vitamin D via the sun. We'll have to make do with what we can over here right now. Unfortunately, that's just a one airplane glide slope shot thus far. Although I do get the impression that it is opening up a little bit. Maybe after this airplane has landed we can do another update of the METAR. See what has changed in terms of cloudiness. This is Qatar Airways flight 275 arriving from Doha. Boeing 7878 Dreamliner touching down now after 6 hours and 37 minutes of flight. The airplane 9 years old already. Began flying in June 2014. Let's see, Embraer 175 arriving from Zurich up next. Lufthansa A319 arriving from Frankfurt after that. No airplanes visible just yet. Let's do a quick rundown of the weather and other stuff. So if you just joined us, welcome to the show. We are standing right here next to the Polderbaan, and that was the only runway being used for arrivals. Let me refresh. This is current runway usage. Has stayed the same throughout the morning. Wind is blowing from the south. This is the weather, the latest iteration. Wind has increased a little bit, which was to be expected because we are expecting storm overnight. Wind now touching 12 knots, 4 above 4. We have 10 plus kilometers of visibility below the ceiling. We do have a ceiling at 1400 feet. Few clouds at 700 feet. The air temperature is 10 degrees Celsius or roughly 50 degrees Fahrenheit. In terms of big birds, there is a taxiing 747. There is a flying 747 approaching the Belgian border. There is another 747 approaching Ireland, expected around 12:14 local time. We have a special livery Emirates A380, the destination Dubai, expected around 12:30 local time. We also have rain expected. This is the Dutch Met Office 3-hour extrapolation, and we are approximately over here. Says it's going to stay dry. The UK Met Office is also indicating that it's going to stay dry, most likely until 1 o'clock local time. Now, let me also update the ticker with the weather. We missed the landing of an Embraer from KLM. I know that's an airplane you don't often see. But now we are actually up to speed again. Here we go. Oh, that is so typical. I see now that there is a first airplane on the glide slope of runway 18C. So it seems that runway usage has in fact changed in the last couple of minutes. And hey there, Michael or Michael, who says, I really love your show, keep up the good work. Thank you so much for your kind words. I will definitely try to do that. Mark says, hey boy, lots of work going on, mate. Absolutely. They're dredging the canal, making sure that the crocodiles and piranhas have ample living space. Was getting a bit superficial, the canal, with all the rain that we've had and all the sand that came along with it. Might also even be room again for another hippo. Mrs. Professor says I'm off to bed. Places to be in the morning. Well, thank you so much for joining, Mrs. Professor. Hope to see you on the next one. Sleep tight. En goedemorgen Michael, and all other viewers who have joined in the meantime, welcome to the show. Now, the weather is going to stay dry, as now the predictions of both the Dutch and UK Met offices seem to indicate. plans to stick around at least until the A380 has landed. There was also a Kalita 747 on their way, but that made what turns out to be a sort of emergency landing at Limerick / Shannon. I believe it was Limerick. Not sure if we're going to see that one again before the A380 has landed. Probably not. This is Tarom flight 361, the daily flight between Bucharest and Amsterdam. Today on the 737-800. Indeed, Jerry, dredging and windmills in the Netherlands. Who would have thought? Right, now, in the meantime, contrail visible. And parallel arrivals also now in progress. Center runway was being used for departures. I'm not sure what the current runway usage is. Let me see if I can check that out in 10 or so minutes from now. The LVNL website, the Dutch air traffic control website, that normally shows the current runway usage, always is a little bit behind the current status quo. You already see the airplanes on flight radar approaching when a runway change is implemented or has been implemented. Now, blue skies on one part of the sky, but looking to the southwest and looking to the south, it does look different. You can definitely tell that different weather is approaching. KLM flight 1926 up next, Boeing 737-800, flight time 1 hour and 16 minutes to get from Geneva to where it is right now. Right, little butt shot. And then it is back to the north. A321 Neo from JetBlue up next, arriving from Boston, Massachusetts. And over here, actually a big piece of blue sky and yet another contrail visible. Well, maybe even audible as well. The reason it's pixelated is because I am zoomed in massively using digital zoom. That was 400 times digital zoom in addition to the optical zoom, i.e. pixelated AF. Let's look at the vortices emanating from the flap tips that you can see so lovely on the A321 Neo. JetBlue flight 631 arriving from Boston, Massachusetts, where this airplane departed from 6 hours and a minute ago. 2-year-old airplane. The first flight was in August of 2021. Oh, and the footage is getting a little bit bumpy. I'm also going to enable image stabilizer after this airplane has finished its landing. Boston represent. Good morning, Sarah. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Now, you're probably also hearing that my nose is a bit clogged, so I'm going to mute the voiceover mic and blow my nose for a moment. And we're back. Stranger has a question about 18 right. Is this runway designed for landings and takeoff only in one direction? It absolutely is, Stranger. If you look on Google Maps or anything and you look at the layout of the exits, you will see that there's only in one direction exits, approaches from the north, and departures to the north are the only traffic that this runway was designed for. That's absolutely correct. Stranger says that I didn't mute. I absolutely did, my friend. You are underestimating the sensitivity of my Sennheiser mic. That is a very sensible as well, but sensitive is the word I was looking for, microphone. Parallel arrivals very much in progress. The ticker is behind. Let me see. Hans says, I thought I heard an elephant in the background. Well, there is an elephant in the room. Absolutely. Yeah, well, runny nose is something I'm always have been dealing with when the temperatures are below room temperature, so to speak. In addition to that, as you guys can probably hear in my voice, I'm also still having a few last cold infection remnants, particularly afflicting my throat, voice a bit hoarse, and also a dry cough that I so far haven't gotten rid of. Otherwise feeling perfectly fine, so just a matter of days. BA City Flyer Embraer 190 up next, arriving from London City. Flight time 42 minutes. Embraer 190 short range, 14 years old. First flight January 2010. Right, two things I want to do. First of all, image stabilizer enable, and second of all, let's have a look at runway usage. So this was the configuration until shortly before. Now, okay, parallel arrivals and 09, the only runway being used for departures. Let's add that change to the ticker. Right. More Embraer 190s. arriving on center right now. The next airplane is ITA Airways arriving from Rome A320 Neo. Beautiful Azzurro. ITA Airways flight 108. Flight time between Rome and where it is in the sky right now has been 2 hours and 8 minutes thus far. This airplane is brand new and began flying in September last year. Little bit of wing fluff visible over the top foil of the wing. In the meantime, EasyJet over here. Dime in a dozen. The OELKK. Now, where we did see the sun a couple of minutes ago, the sun seems to have gone once again. Also, openings in the sky are becoming a bit more scarce. Got a Norwegian on the glide slope to center. Let's see, is that one containing a grumpy face or not? No, just a blank lipstick livery. Max 8. Norwegian flight 84533 arriving from Stockholm. Flight time for this flight thus far 1 hour 48 minutes. Right. She is still out there, the sun. Now, talking about sunshine, Iberia Express up next on Polderbaan. Flight 3722. Arriving from Madrid, A320, 10 years old, first flight March 2013. Tony says 777 and 747 inbound from the southwest. That is good news. See that there's a 737 arriving from Copenhagen from KLM on the other glide slope, and following this Iberia Express it's going to be an A320 Neo from EasyJet arriving from Edinburgh. Happy New Year! Bird controller is also setting off some fireworks to the south. VW, so that probably is K1 then, over there. And the Transavia previous iteration of their standard livery, the one with the rainbow over the front part, the 737-700, has been rented out to KLM. Last week I believe it was flying regularly between Dublin and Amsterdam. This week it seems to be Copenhagen, Amsterdam. Behind this airplane on the glide slope to center is an Aviation A321 Neo. We now have two EasyJet A320 Neos back to back on Polderbaan. Right, so this is EasyJet flight 27836, having arrived from Edinburgh. Flight time 1 hour and 7 minutes. One nice little butt shot. Now, A321 Neo from Aegean on its way to the center runway. If you look closely, you can also see that it is producing vortices from the flap tips. Also a little bit of wing fluff over the top foil of the wing was visible. Not so much over here with the A320, its smaller sibling. Another A320 Neo from EasyJet, this one arriving from Manchester. Hans says that the Cargolux is now behind me. Need to see it on flight radar, zoomed out a little bit. Question is, of course, can we see it visually already? And I don't think we can. It is off the coast of Zandvoort right now, so already a bit further to the north. Should be in the sky somewhere over there. Now, how many airplanes are there ahead of it? Quite a lot. All the airplanes to Polderbaan are now turning onto the glide slope in the vicinity of Alkmaar. So this 747 is going to continue to the north quite a bit still. Means that we will not be able to see it turn onto the base leg or turn final, unfortunately. In the meantime, let's have a look at what is coming next. I see two consecutive Embraer 190s. The first one arriving from London City, KLM flight 984. The one behind it is arriving from Bristol. And now number 3 is going to be the 777-300ER arriving from Cape Town, KLM flight 598. photo bombers on the way. Now, next up is going to be a German Airways Embraer 190, not Choc-y, but a regular German Airways flying for KLM, arriving from Bristol, KLM flight 1050. Duckies are still in the water, surfing the waves. Also doing a little bit of scuba diving by the looks of it. German Airways flying for KLM, Embraer 190, arriving from Bristol as KLM flight 1050. This airplane departed from Bristol 52 minutes ago. The airplane is 18 years old. The first flight was in January 2006. It is an Embraer 190 long range. Switch to dynamic image stabilizer, see if that maybe makes a difference to mitigate the wind vibrations somewhat more than the standard I had it set on until now. This is KLM flight 598, arriving from Cape Town, South Africa. 777-300ER, flight time 11 hours and 29 minutes. The airplane is 11 years old. The first flight was in June 2012. Good day, John Norris, and all other viewers who have joined in the meantime. Hope everybody's doing all right. Right, a couple of more airplanes before the next 747. Weather over here, cloudy, though here and there. More openings here and there, more darker parts. Does look nice. As long as it stays dry, I'm okay with it. Our next airplane, KLM flight 1072, arriving from Manchester, 737-800, flight time 49 minutes. The airplane 15 years old, the first flight was in April 2008. And another TUI Dreamliner will be following after this airplane has landed. TUI flight 365, arriving from Bonaire. Right, Jin says have to be going to work soon. Hopefully you still manage to catch the 747 that is now on the glide slope before going out. Let's quickly turn back. Flying AMS Live logo. Yeah, well, close but no cigar. It's not a true AMS Live logo. It is a replica. TUI Flight 365 arriving from Bonaire. It is a 7878 Dreamliner, underway now for 7 hours and 50 minutes. The airplane 9 years old. The first flight was in May 2014. Somewhere behind this airplane is a Cargolux B748 arriving from Miami in Florida. Don't see it visually just yet, but it will appear pretty soon probably, so I'm not going to be following this airplane extensively. Also a massive big thank you to John, who just now gifted 5 memberships in anticipation of the incoming Queen. Thank you so much for that, John. If you are one of the recipients of John's gifted memberships, don't forget to thank John. And if you are one of the new members, welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge. The custom emojis are now all at your disposal, so use them whenever you see fit. Up next is Cargolux Flight 6823 arriving from Miami, Florida. This is a Boeing 7478, having flown 7 hours and 46 minutes to get here. The airplane 8 years old, first flight July 2015. There she is. Will she get loud? Just a few more moments and we will know for sure. And indeed K1, the VW, the bird controller. There's also a tractor coming over the cycling path towards me, which you will also hear. Love the airplane. Now if you've liked what you're seeing so far and you haven't done so already, consider dropping a like. Be sure to subscribe if you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams. It really helps to spread this content to other potential aviation enthusiasts such as yourselves. Now, we already saw a Pilatus PC-12 land on Polderbaan earlier today, and now on the glide slope to runway center is a Pilatus PC-24. From Platoon Aviation, which looks like a very nice livery. Looking at the picture on flight radar. It's a bit too windy to see everything in detail, and this is too far zoomed in to see it properly. All the way up to 400 times digital zoom, hence the pixelated picture. This is back to the top end of the optical zoom range. Arriving from Bern. Flight time 1 hour and 23 minutes. Chopped in half by the tail of a KLM 737 that landed here on Polderbaan just now. This Pilatus PC-12 has a German registration DCPTN, D Captain. Nice joke. First flight was in February 2023, meaning it is a year old. The D Captain. The D Captain. Mr. Jackson, good morning, Michael. Good to see you again, mate. Hope all is well. Meanwhile, KLM flight 1198 coming this way. Embraer 175 arriving from Stavanger. Flight time 1 hour 27 minutes. This airplane has been flying since July 2016, meaning it is 7 years old. Alright, up next, KLM flight 918 arriving from Southampton, another Embraer 190. And Jerry, the glide slope shots are back. The first two airplane glide slope shot of the day. Hope you're still around to witness it. Glorious moment. First time of the day, more than one airplane visible to the north. Right, Embraer 190 having arrived from Southampton, touchdown after 49 minutes of flight. The airplane 14 years old, first flight June 2009. And behind it is Iceland Air A Max 8. And yet another two airplane glide slope shot that we can see. In the foreground we have the Max 8, in the background we have another Embraer 190 from KLM arriving from Glasgow. Last time we checked it was Choc-y, today it is German Airways but not Choc-y. Haven't seen that one just yet. Joel is also asking about having seen our government airplane. I have seen the 737 twice in the streams last year. The PHGOV. And Aviation Azad says hello, hello to you too, and all other viewers as well. Welcome to the show if you just joined us. This is AMS Live, my name is Boy. We're standing next to the Polderbaan runway 18 right. At the moment, one of two runways being used for arrivals. We have wind blowing from the south. Wind is gradually picking up over the day, as we are expecting storm Huey, Dewey or Louie or something like that overnight. So the wind is expected to pick up as the day progresses. There's also rain coming this way. The latest extrapolations from both the Dutch and UK Met offices seem to indicate that we're going to stay dry at least until around 1 o'clock or so, which means that the A380 landing, and today in a very special livery, the Destination Dubai Colourful Smarties livery, as Han dubbed it earlier, we will be able to see, hopefully. Now, it's a lot of narrow bodies that we've seen over the last minutes. There is another big bird coming, arriving from Minneapolis. Airbus A330-200 from KLM, now number 3 for the Polderbaan. Question is, can we see it already? It is a rather big plane. If it doesn't, oh wait, yeah, we do see it. 3 airplane glide slope shot actually established now. And Ivan is tuning in from Brazil. Welcome. And Albert, thank you so much for the kind words. And also Dennis, goedemorgen. Hope everybody is doing all right. So this is a German Airways Embraer 190 flying for KLM, arriving from Glasgow. And KLM arriving from Dublin behind it. Is that, no, that is the KLM itself. Was wondering, could that be the Transavia rental? There's a 737-700 flying for KLM right now, a rental from Transavia. That's the one with the old rainbow livery. There's also one with the current standard livery flying for KLM. And last week it was flying between Dublin and Amsterdam regularly, so I was wondering, might that be it? But it wasn't. It isn't. Kevin says, love this awesome channel. You sir do an awesome job. Thank you so much for your kind words there, Kevin. Very much appreciated. I do my best between the coughing and blowing my nose. KLM Flight 936 737 800 arriving from Dublin, Ireland. Flight time 1 hour 7 minutes. The airplane is 10 years old. The first flight was in May 2013. And indeed, Canal Kurdistan, a nice midday. Mike L says, good day from Vienna. Good day to you too, Mike. Or Michael. Which one is it? Is it Mike L? Is it Michael or Mike L? And is it Mike? Demon also back in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Hopo as well. Parallel arrivals still very much in progress. This is an Embraer with no winglets and big ass engines. So this is an E2 Embraer 195. And Mike is okay. Check. TC says, good morning, boy. Hope you are well. Very wet and windy over here in Leicestershire. Well, we are going to get the wind and the rain later in the day, so don't worry. The weather gods have us sorted as well. Still have a little bit of a cough. Last remnant from a cold infection from last week. Otherwise, I'm doing perfectly fine. There is our A32200 KLM flight 656, arriving from Minneapolis, Minnesota, having left from Minneapolis 7 hours and 18 minutes ago. The airplane is 18 years old. The first flight was in July 2005. En Jamiro, indeed, over een uur komt een speciale A380, een special A380, is expected around 12:30. Destination Dubai. Which is not the destination of these trucks, I can tell you for sure. Another closer look at the, I think these are ducks that have been swimming there all the while. Sometimes a bit more close by, sometimes a bit more underwater than they are now. There was a coot behind me. I'm not seeing it anymore. I haven't seen it since the beginning of the stream. Unfortunately, these have been the only birds in the water in my vicinity over here thus far. But given the fact that there's still dredging going on a few hundred meters further to the north, I'm already happy to see that the birds have returned to the water. The dredging is still underway. Deepening the canal for the sharks, maybe for the hippo, and also for the piranhas. Now, in the meantime, over here, another KLM Embraer, also no winglets, big ass engines. So this is an E2 Embraer 195. Right, now, time for more Embraers. In the meantime, this does look lovely. Not so much a clear sky. It's definitely overcast, but the lighting almost makes it seem like there is open sky over there. I do believe that there might be a patch of blue sky over there in the middle. The rest is high clouds making it overcast, but it does look nice, I think. That's the silver lining of living here. Besides all the wind and the rain and the clouds and the grayness, you do on a regular basis see nice cloudy skies, picturesque, which of course also was the inspiration for so many classical paintings by the great names. But I digress. Visibility seems to have improved. Looking at the chimney and the chimney smoke, it seems crisp, much more crisp than it was earlier in the stream. So even though it is going to rain later today, it does look like visibility is opening up a little bit. Just above ground level. This is KLM flight 1516, arriving from Norwich. Embraer 175 having left from Norwich 32 minutes ago, now touching down. The airplane is 6 years old, first flight July 2017. Mike says, hey, I like the METAR data. Well, speaking of that, I think it is old data, and maybe after the triple that is up next has landed, let us see if we can do another update. Meanwhile, the duckies are getting closer by. They're drifting towards me. Well, no, the wind is blowing them away from me, so they're swimming against the wind and upstream towards us. They want their 15 minutes of fame, apparently. Let's also switch. Oh, yeah. They're also practicing synchronous swimming, by the looks of it. Mimicking grebes, which also tend to dive underwater immediately as soon as you point the camera towards them. Hey Miss Wolves, good morning, good to see you again. Hope all is well on your side of the canal. This is KLM flight 706 arriving from Rio de Janeiro. It is a 777-200ER, having left from Rio 10 hours and 22 minutes ago. This airplane is 16 years old and began flying for the first time in April 2007. E2 Embraer behind it, arriving from Stockholm. Don't see it yet. Wait, now I do. It just switched on the landing lights, it seems like. Okay, E2 Embraer arriving from Stockholm, on its way. Let's do another quick check of the goings on here. Runway usage, refresh, unchanged. METAR, refresh. Wind has increased to 15 knots. It is gradually increasing as the day progresses and storm Huey or Dewey or Louie or something is coming. We have no more ceiling. We still have scattered clouds at 1200 feet, few clouds at 900 feet. Wind is still blowing from the south. In terms of big birds, Cargolux is taxiing. We have Atlas Air flying over Ipswich, is expected in half an hour from now, and we also have the special livery Emirates destination Dubai expected at 12:35. What's the latest 3-hour extrapolation from the Dutch Met Office? That looks good. What does the UK Met Office say? Maybe around 1 o'clock, so we should be good until the major quads have landed. Now we missed out on the landing of an E2 Embraer. Let me also update the meter in the ticker. There we go. Now everything is current. And our next airplane to approach is KLM flight 1188, a regular Embraer 190 arriving from Bergen. Is the now number 2 already visible, which is a Pegasus A321 Neo. I don't see it just yet. Would be nice to see it together with the other airplane, but unfortunately visibility to the north seems to be a bit variant. No, seems to be varying. Also a very big thank you to Miss Wolves, who celebrates 7 months of membership. Thank you so much for your continued support, Miss Wolves. As she writes, fantastic to be part of a great family. Well, I'm happy to have you as a family member. If not as a member, then at least as a continuing frequent visitor. Thank you so much for your continued support there, Miss Wolves. Hope you will enjoy it in the lounge for many more months to come. If something is not to your liking, do let me know. There is a suggestion box in the community section for members, so I'm always open for ideas and suggestions. This is KLM flight 1188, Embraer 190 arriving from Bergen. Fritz is asking about next week Friday, and everybody who always asks me if I will be standing along the runway then and then, I can say the same. I can tell the same answer. It depends on the weather. Fridays is one of my streaming days if the weather is okay, but I don't know yet what the weather is going to be like. I also don't know exactly when you are going to arrive. Usually stream in the mornings. But assuming you will land in the morning and assuming that the weather will be good, then yes, I will probably be around. Then of course the question is, will you be landing on the runway I will be standing next to? So a lot of uncertainty still, but it almost always depends on the weather first and foremost. And thank you so much once again for your kind words. I do my best, Miss Wolves. Happy to hear that you are enjoying what you're seeing. Mr. Cole, good morning, sir. Good to see you again, Lance. Hope all is well. Oink oink. Our fly pig has landed. The A321neo, having arrived from Istanbul. Flight 1251. Flight time was 3 hours and 17 minutes. That is a bit longer than the average of 3 hours, which normally is the flight time between Istanbul and Amsterdam. So this airplane might have had a little bit of headwind on the way. It is providing us with another butt shot. We have seen so many butt shots today. Just 1 or 2 glide slope shots. But Captain Glideslope has also returned back to the land of the living. Happy to have seen him. Don't know if you're still around, Jerry, but we are going to see a couple of E2 Embraers back to back now. And we have another 2 airplane glideslope shot. Here we go. Embraer E2 Embraer 195, this one has the 1700th E-Jet sticker on its fuselage. Unfortunately, this is only a unilateral sticker and it is on the left-hand side, so we don't get to see it from this point of view. Unfortunately, it will look like a regular E2 Embraer from our point of view. Having arrived from Göteborg, touching down now after an hour and 22 minutes of flight. Still got the place mostly to myself. There were a few young fellows on the bench. It seems that they are walking away again, or have they already? Yeah. One more person coming this way. That is Heimans? Heroes. Oh, that's from the fence. The producer, the manufacturer of the fence. Maybe doing a check. Someone walking over here. Got a few people south of me doing some spotting. Russell also sitting on his throne. The triplet of duckies over here in the water. And yet another E2 Embraer coming this way. E2 Embraer 195, this one arriving from Edinburgh. KLM flight 1278, flight time 1 hour and 8 minutes. This airplane celebrated its first birthday last month in January. And Donna back from her meeting. Awesome, good to have you back, Donna. See that the E2 is giving us a butt shot, so let's zoom in and have a look. You can see the reflection of the runway stripes, the taxiway stripes I should say, in the bottom of the rear, the bottom half of the rear of the E2. The bottom of the bottom. Bum squared. Anyway. Oh, Gerrit asks about the OV bicycle. It has in fact been removed. Notice that as I was walking up here, somebody does seem to have picked it up. Right, time for more Embraers, or at least one more, and then Ryanair with a Boeing. This is KLM flight 1754, arriving from Bremen in the north of Germany, not too far away as the crow flies. Flight time reflects this, it's 37 minutes. The airplane is 15 years old. The first flight was in November 2008. Yeah, image stabilizer. You can only do so much when the wind's blowing. Being zoomed in with digital zoom on top of 20 times optical zoom, it makes for a bit unstable footage. Trying to have a look in the cockpit window, or in the cockpit through the window, I should say. This is a Boeing 737 MAX 8 from Ryanair, flight 2334, arrival from Malaga. 2 hours 27 minutes underway. Brand new airplane, meaning less than a year old, and the first flight was in June 2023. Gerrit is asking about the big white round thing on the back of some airplanes. That is a bump where the Wi-Fi receiver, I think, is. It's for the Wi-Fi on board. It does look big on some particular airplanes, particularly the E2s. While we are in awaitances of the Emirates A380 and one Boeing 747 preceding it, the duckies are getting closer by, and the next airplane is to... This is KLM flight 1422, arriving from Birmingham, and this is the aforementioned rental from Transavia. So this looks like a Transavia 737 in the current livery, but it is in fact a rental airplane that Transavia has rented out to KLM. Returning from Birmingham, 45 minutes of flight. It's getting a bit more overcast if you look to the east, back to the south. where the wind is coming from. This is where the rain is probably coming from later in the day, the southwest. Looking to the west, this is what it looks like. There's a second airplane on the glide slope behind this airplane, although I am not seeing it visually or on my camera screen. So let's focus on what we can see, and this is KLM flight 1008 arriving from London Heathrow, 737-800, touching down after 42 minutes of flight. Airplane 13 years old. And here you have that Wi-Fi hump. They do stay closely together, don't they? This threesome of duckies. Let's see, this is KLM flight 988. It's an Embraer 190 arriving from London City. Again, 42 minutes of flight time. The airplane 10 years old. The first flight was in January 2014. More narrow bodies are approaching. Two consecutive Embraer 190s, both in the same field of view over here. There is a 737 approaching behind it from the left. Not sure if we are able to see it. Flight radar says it is turning onto the glide slope right now. Don't think we're able to see it just yet. Back then to the Embraer 190 arriving from London City. Hopefully we are going to see Choc-y in this stream. We saw it the last two streams, I believe. Back from hibernation. Back when we used to see it more regularly, there would not another stream would go by without us having seen it. Also, no stream along Polderbaan seems to go by without tractors passing by several times during the stream. Today, no exception. Now, I am still not seeing that 737, the now number 2, or at least on paper. The only airplane visible right now is the number 1, that is KLM flight 1740, the Embraer 190 arriving from Luxembourg, which is, oh, there it is. Now I do see the 737, the number 2. So once again, the 2 airplane glide slope shot. Alright. KLM flight 1230 up next, 737-800 arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Adrie has to sign off. Says until the next stream. See you on the next one, Adrie. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in. I'm hearing an airplane pass by. I'm not seeing it because it is already above the clouds. That's KLM flight 1185 going to Bergen. Alright, more Embraer 190s coming up. If that's your favorite airplane type, you are lucky. Next up is KLM flight 1780 arriving from Hamburg. 43 minutes of flight time. Behind it is the Embraer 190 that I was hoping we were going to see today. Choc-y arriving from Leeds. The APRI Lycifer Chocolaterie Special Livery. And the Atlas Air 747 out of Miami is also incoming above the coastline. That is good news. Was expected around 12:15, I believe it was, and the A380, last time I checked, expected around 5:30. No, I was going to say it in the Dutch way, but that's not the English way to say it. In Dutch we say 5 minutes past 1:30, but that is not a proper way of saying it in English. 12:35 expected time of arrival. And the latest rain radar extrapolations from both the Dutch and UK Met offices indicate it's going to stay dry until roughly 1 o'clock or something. So we should be good. The only question is, will the center runway remain closed so that both the 747 and the A380 will land on this runway? In the meantime, things are closing up here in terms of the clouds. We saw patches of blue earlier, no longer do we see them now. On ground level visibility is still crisp, or at least good, I should say. The view of the chimney is crisp. You can definitely tell that the smoke leaving the chimney is leaving more horizontally. Wind speed is increasing, but that was to be expected. We are expecting a storm overnight, to pass overnight. Storm Huey or Dewey or Louie or something. Don't recall exactly the name. I see that Mr. Master is also back in the chat. Good to see you, mate. I'm doing well, thank you for asking. Hope that also goes for you. This is the Lycifer Chocolaterie Special Livery German Airways Embraer 190 flying for KLM as KLM flight 1546, returning from Leeds, where this airplane left from 49 minutes ago. Embraer 190 short range, 16 years old, first flight January 2008, the DAPRI, just as old as the KLM PHPVA Orange Pride. chocolate. The icing on the cake looks good. And a chocolatey butt shot also to boot. Right, one more Embraer 190 and then it is 7478 time once again. Can we see the letter already? I know I can't visually. Let's crouch behind the laptop. Nope. Don't think you guys are seeing it either. Quick look at the landing of KLM flight 1166 then. The Embraer 190 arriving from Helsinki, and then it is back to the north to have a look at the arrival of the 7478. Looking over my camera in the distance, into the distance, still not seeing it. Absolutely photo bombed. Great timing, fellas. The airplane slower than the car. I think Top Gear already established that on several of their trials. And today you saw it too over here at AMS Live. Right, on that bombshell, it is time to go back to the airplane at hand. Atlas Air flight 5219. It's a Boeing 7478 arriving from Miami, Florida. Flight time 7 hours and 38 minutes. The airplane has been flying for 12 years in total. The first flight of this airplane was in October 2011. Another awesome landing, albeit quiet once more. It was the 747 that we saw the first time. That was the loudest, I think, in the end. But there you go, it was another beautiful 7478 landing over here at Schiphol Airport. And a big thank you to John, who just now gifted 5 more memberships. If you're one of the recipients, don't forget to say thank you to John and welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those 5 new members. Atlas Air 7478. Long distance butt shot in slow motion. thank you so much for the update that the A380 is now entering Dutch airspace nearby Enschede. Lagnes? I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you so much for the update. So we now are also able to see on omgevingsinfo Schiphol which runway this airplane is going to be assigned to. I hope it's going to be Polderbaan. In the meantime, we are going to entertain ourselves with a couple of narrow bodies, beginning with a Transavia, the TRA8H, the trash, flying for, is it 1 hour and 15 minutes to get from Barcelona to where it is landing right now. One of the many 737-800s from Transavia. Lovely animal to see. Meanwhile, Embraer 175s landing in the background. KLM flight 1486 is this, arriving from Humberside. More butt shots, here we go. The 7478 is also still over here in the distance. Now, if you guys like Embraer 175s, here we have another one about to touch down. This is KLM flight 962 arriving from Newcastle. Little tippy-toey, wind still for the most part, headwind on dead on headwind, I should say. Wind speed has increased a little bit over the last couple of hours, but it's nothing substantial. No gusts yet in the METAR reported. What a nice combo shot. 3 airplanes, 1 shot. Don't know if it was framed properly. Maybe it has thumbnail potential. We'll have to see once I get home after I'm done. Now, oh no, I thought it was a coot, but it was just the triplet with two of the three being underwater. Next up is Vueling flight 8309. It is an A320neo arrival from Barcelona. Flight time 1 hour and 50 minutes. The airplane is 3 years old. The first flight was in March 2020. And an Embraer 190 arriving from JD's hometown Düsseldorf will be following it. Maybe someone already mentioned it in the chat and maybe I missed that, but do we know a runway assignment yet of the A380? Is it indeed going to Polderbaan or will it land on the maybe soon to reopen center runway? Question mark. Polderbaan, okay, that is good news. Thank you, Pim. And also thank you, Jackie. Polderbaan. Well, oh, goodness me. The timing. You guys are already seeing it. I was just about to say it. Starting to feel some droplets. It is the beginning of the end for today. The blue skies. It was the best bit of the day in terms of weather. You saw it here on Amos Live today. Thank you all for confirming that the A380 is in fact going to land on this runway, Polderbaan. Hey, and is this Cat and Wheelie? It does have the markings of it. No. For a minute I got hopeful there, but for a moment I should say, but alas, today is not the day that we see the return of Captain Wheelie. We did see the return of Captain Jerry, which is also something I'm happy about. So all in all, it will be a good day regardless. Right, another Embraer 175 coming this way. KLM flight 1060 arriving from Cardiff. Left Cardiff 55 minutes ago. The airplane is 6 years old. First flight January 2018. Airflight Travels says greetings from 2 benches further past me earlier. Greetings back, mate. Marco says that the A380 is nearing Lelystad. That is good news. Meanwhile, visibility here is significantly declining. As you guys can see, drizzle is beginning. Let me see, when holding my hand in front of the sunshade, you can see further up ahead, even though there is a patch of blue in the sky, there's also a very fine drizzle over here. That's okay, I came prepared. few more minutes until the A380 has landed, and then everything will have served its purpose for today. Let me also wipe clean my phone screen. As soon as those droplets get bigger and they start to roll down off my screen, my phone will interpret that as swipes and will start doing things that I don't want it to do. This is KLM flight 1598. Having arrived from Rome, 737-700. Right, well, visibility to the north now worse than it was before, for obvious reasons. The next airplane to arrive is Top Air Portugal, flight 670, an A320 arriving from Lisbon. Bit hard to see. Flight time 2 hours and 18 minutes. It is the CSTNT, so that is an explosive flight registration. The airplane is 14 years old. The first flight was in October 2009, Top Air Portugal, and after that, the Embraer 190 returning from Basel, KLM, and also the first Shamrock, I believe, of the day, arriving from Dublin, Ireland, an A320. Does feel like we've had the worst of the drizzle just now. Just faintly visible, but will become clearer soon, is KLM flight 1986. The next airplane to arrive, an Embraer 190 arriving from Basel. The airplane on the way for 1 hour and 5 minutes. Has been flying since October 2013. Also a lot Embraer 175, now number 3. And sandwiched in between is the Shamrock A320 arriving from Dublin, Ireland. So while it doesn't look like it where the camera is pointing now, left of me, not far away from me in the sky, still a few patches of blue, so looked like that bit of drizzle was just an isolated little, well, shower for lack of a better word. Visibility also normalized again, patches of blue. Sun also semi-visible once again. Right, next up, Shamrock flight 604 returning from Dublin, Ireland to Amsterdam. Oh, shit. Now all of a sudden my flight radar map is over Dublin, which was not supposed to happen. Right, back at the Polderbank glide slope. Shamrock flight 604, flight time 1 hour and 1 minute. Par for the course, Dublin, Amsterdam, typically averages around an hour of flight time. This airplane, 15 years old, the first flight was in December 2008. After the lot Embraer 175 up next, we are going to see a 777-200 from KLM arriving from Guayaquil, Ecuador. Irish butt shot to go with Irish coffee. Right. In the Star Alliance livery up next, lot flight 263 Embraer 175. Warsaw, Amsterdam has been underway now. This airplane 1 hour and 47 minutes. The airplane in total has been flying for 13 years since September 2010. Before the big birds, the final big birds of the show are coming in. Let's do another rundown of another wipe of the camera lens. Have everything optimized. Our little quacker friends are still swimming here. Not choosing the easy way, but going upstream. Gotta respect them for that. Bits of blue even above the glide slope visible. Dry weather seems to have returned just in time. Our next airplane is KLM flight 755, arriving from Guayaquil, Ecuador. This is a 200 ER. Has been flying for 10 hours and 27 minutes, this airplane, and has been flying in total now for 20 years. The first flight of this airplane was in November 2003. And Rick, I'm going to give you the same answer as I give everybody. I never know for sure when I'm going to go out. That very much depends on the weather, mate. I don't know what the weather is going to be like. That seems to change from day to day, so I will probably know on Friday evening or on Saturday morning whether or not I am going to go out definitively on a Saturday or not. Now, if only you succeeded in sending some of that sunshine you were talking about earlier in the week from the north to Schiphol, so that we weren't in any uncertainty about what weather it is going to be like. It would have been an easier answer to give, but unfortunately, with all the rain and all the uncertainty, I still cannot say for sure until Friday evening or maybe even Saturday morning. Quite a lot of smoke emanating from the chimney of that tractor. There go your carbon emissions. Global warming here in progress on AMS Live. Right, well, Donna is informing us that the number 4 right now is the colourful Airbus A380, so if you need to go to the bathroom, if you want to grab a fresh cup of coffee or make a fresh cup of tea, you still have a few more minutes. Up next, KLM flight 1420, arriving from Birmingham, 737-800, flight time 42 minutes. The airplane 24 years old, first flight August 1999, a true millennial. And the Atlas 747 did already land JS626 less than half an hour ago. Right, next up, Iceland Air Flight 500, a MAX 8 737, returning from Reykjavik to Amsterdam. Left Reykjavik nearly 2 hours and 45 minutes ago. This MAX 8 is 2 years old and began flying in November 2021. Right, everything touched the ground, so let's focus on the airplane we've all been waiting for. It is the destination Dubai special livery Emirates flight 147, the daily flight from Amsterdam, Dubai to Amsterdam. Now the number 8 worldwide most tracked on flight radar. 468 people are watching this on flight radar. Emirates flight 147. Normally speaking, at this point in the sky, the airplane would have flown on average 6.5 hours. Today, the flight has taken a bit longer. 6 hours and 47 minutes. 57 minutes. Beautiful wing fluff emanating from the top foil of the wings. This airplane, 8 years old. First flight was in July 2015. Effing awesome, wasn't it, folks? If you like what you saw and you haven't done so already, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps to spread this content to other aviation fans such as yourselves. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to stay updated of upcoming live streams. Be part of the magic, folks. Subscribe to AMS Live. I asked them to put that on the livery. The last airplane of the day this was. I'm going to wrap it up. Be sure that I return home, or at least return to the car before mayhem with rain begins. Hope you guys enjoyed what you guys have been seeing. I enjoyed it very much. And I hope that I can go out again tomorrow, but time will tell. The weather is very much the deciding factor. Hopefully the magic will resume tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, then on Saturday. This airplane now begins its taxi all the way back to the main platform area. Most of you will know by now, this runway is very far away from the main platform area. The gates are all the way adjacent to where the tower is. That's the main tower. That's also where the terminal is and where most of the gates are. The airplanes have to taxi all the way along the trees to get from where they land to where they need to be in the end. The A380 is now underway. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. I had a blast. I hope you guys did too. Hope to see you on the next one. Thank you all those who became a member. Thanks to the donators of gifted memberships. Thanks to the super chats and for the super chats and the super stickers, and the people who bought something from the merch store. The support you guys are giving me means the world to me. The channel is nothing without you guys. So thank you all so much for your ongoing support. I hope to see you on the next one. A big thank you also once again to all the moderators for keeping the chat friendly and accessible. Guys, thank you all for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. Stay well. See you on the next one. See you later.